Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome back to Sandling Junction and to what is either episode 17 or even 18. I never get it right. I always get confused. It's an aging old brain, but I'm sure you guys will work it out. But what's more important is the fact that this is the third episode to do with the design and the construction of my little platform kit for Sandling Junction. And the first two episodes I went through my thoughts, my designs to that point, and then the latest version of it, which I then put together for you in the first and the second episode. In this episode, I've taken my initial one a stage further, or at least one stage further. I've taken on board a few of your ideas as well. Thank you very much for those in the comment section. But I've taken it on and I've made another iteration, which I've going to put together, but I want to show you it and show you. I've already made one, so I'm going to show you that first, and then a couple of tweaks to that and put that together. Very, very quick, speed it up, but you'll get the idea. And hopefully at the end of this video, I can show you maybe several sections of the platform in place to give you an idea of what I'm building towards. So let's get on and let's see how it all turns out. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Now, as I said just now, this is the third iteration, evolution, generation, whatever you want to call it, of this little platform build. Trying to make a little kit mainly for Sandling Junction, but indeed if others are interested later, who knows where it might go. But what have I done that's so vastly different from the first one that you saw me put together in parts 1 and 2? Mainly it's to do with the top of this. It's also to do with the construction of these ramps. Now in the first one I put together the ramp, and I have one here. No, I don't. I thought I did. The ramp here had sort of almost, it had to be put together, and hopefully that was in the right place. That was in the right place, and I was going to put some scribe lines on the base here. But what I actually did, I created another box, or at least another tray. And the idea being that I could put everything exactly where it should be, tabs, etc., making this a very, very strong unit. This is another one that I've done just to illustrate that. Put that to one side, and you've got tabs that have been correctly measured in there, and a proper back. Everything is sort of, to a point, it's actually taking away the guesswork, and that's what I wanted. A couple of things that I'm not happy with still is I need to bring this top deck a little further forward on here, just to allow me to have that run to the ground. It stops a little short, and I know when you were sort of weathering this down, in some of the sort of bits and pieces of the groundwork will come up to here, and it wouldn't be too much of a problem. But I still like to have that about right. Okay, so that's why I'm going to adjust that to come down a little further. Other than that, I'm really very pleased with the outcome of that. So this is pretty much done, apart from that little extra piece that I was suggesting there. So why did what have I done to this one? Well, if you remember, I wanted to make this one a little wider on the top, so allowing me to have a small flange here to allow or suggest the little flap. I don't know if I can actually make you see that, but you've got the brick, the corbel, and just a little flap there, just another millimeter, which represents about a 2-inch in real life of a flap over the top of the stone on the edge of the platform, and I think that's about right. But the biggest thing I wanted to do, and I actually suggested, was the fact that I was going to make this a removable top, and how I was going to do that. So what I created, and recently I acquired myself a Bamboo Lab PS1 and a few weeks ago, and I have been playing around with that. Now I am to CAD what I am to brain surgery. I'm absolutely useless at both. And although that, I have managed to create a box whereby inside there is a magnet, and I've enclosed it inside the box, and there's a magnet on top. These are 6x3 magnets. Now they do vary in their size a little bit, but essentially they're a 6x3 and they do the job well. What I've done is made a number of those already, as you can see, and how they work is quite literally there. They're nicely placed. 6 of them are in here, and there are 6 corresponding magnets on the underside of the platform, and that just quite literally snaps into place. And I'm making all of mine in that fashion. It does mean to say that when you glue these in, and I will show you how I do that later on in this video, but it does show you've got to be very, very careful how you set them up. If you get them off by a little bit, then you're going to have a funny end piece there, and it doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to marry up. But you've got to get it about right. Even this one is not quite spot on, but it's close enough. But yeah, so that's the idea there. Now, one of the comments I got in part 1 of this video series was making more of an opening here, for making it so that if there was any imperfections on the layout table, that it wouldn't be so critical. So what I've done in this latest version, this is now the 4th generation of thinking. There are 1 or 2 tweaks, and there are going to be another iteration after this, I assure you, mainly to do with the ramps. But I have opened up these slots here. I've still maintained the tabs for the strength. I've also marked here engraved places where you can actually make sure you get your magnets pretty much down. And we'll put this one all together and create another platform top that we can use on the layout. I will continue making these now until I can come to the end of this video and just show you pretty much a completed line of platforms on the new Sandling Junction. And yeah, hopefully then I can maybe even do a little video weathering this up, or at least one of them. I've got a lot to do. So there you go. Catch you all very soon. Okay, so moving on, this has had a little bit of time to dry, so we're going to carry on building. All I'm really going to do is put the outer sections on here, as I did before, and just see how that looks. I'm not going to be building any ends because I have some of those already, but we'll see how we go. Okay, everybody, well, the two ramps are done, and I'm still having a little problem in my head. I do feel that I need to extend this ever so slightly further down so I don't end up with this little gap at the end. It really isn't too much of a problem, but I would like to have it completely down to the ground instead of having this little gap underneath, and I would feel happier at that. So that's a slight alteration. Now back to this, I want to get this part of the platform finished, and to do that now I need to just glue in the magnets. Okay, so I'm just going to be putting on there a little bit of the glue. I'm just going to pour some out. Okay, I can always come back for some more. I'm going to use the little spatula here, and I'm just going to put that down over one spot right now, and that spot there, and the center there, again on there. Okay, so that's that part done. So what I'm going to do now is just spray the base with some activator and just put that in place, and hopefully that will be the job done. This is the hard bit. This is the bit that caused me so much stress last time around. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to spray that corner. I'm going to put this over and hope to God I get this about right. That didn't work then, so I sprayed the wrong corner. Let's do that again, shall we? Let's just wipe that off so I don't end up with a raised lump. I feel that I have. Just scratch that off. Okay, so I never did get the idea of working in reverse like that. Just put that back on. Now let's spray this corner, and hopefully this time we will be a little closer. I'll put that on that mark, trying to make sure we got the correct little gap each side, and I am praying that is in the right place. Let's go for it. He says. Alright, so I'm going to put on the opposite side piece now. Better. So there you are. We have our platform, and I'm quite happy with the outcome. And that will go on Sandling. There will be the next ones that I do will have a slight change on here just to accommodate and allow that. Although it's not the end of the world, I do believe I've cut another 2 of these at this size, so they will remain. But I think that's really nice, and I'm really pleased with the outcome. So I'm going to probably just end up by showing you all of them pretty much in place, not set up but in place, to give you an idea of what I've been trying to do. And yeah, I may even do another video at some point and weather these up and see how we get on. Well, there we go. This is as far as I've got at the moment. There are 3, well, the end ramp, but there are 3 of the new design versions of the platform top. Each of them are, as I showed you just now, with the magnetic lid and the changes in there. I've made a slight change on later ones with that, making this a little thicker here and the hole a little smaller, but that was just a small thing. But they are pretty much done, and all I've got to do is decide how I want to paint these, set them up in the future. Now I can quite happily put them in place permanently, or I can leave the whole thing, or I can glue 2 together or 3 together so that they're easily manageable. but I can do the wiring. I can have clips underneath it. I can disconnect the wiring, pull the whole thing off, or just the top if I want to do something else. I can put little cable connections inside here so that if I want to take the top off and maybe put some lamps on, I can do all of those things with ease, and it's going to be a breeze to do it in the future. But that's as far as I've got now. And what I've got to do over here is I'm calling it the concourse over the back there. That will be an area that the station platform ends, where these will terminate. That's got to be built and designed, and I've got to figure out how to do the top, because there's going to be sort of stop and start with corbelling and all that sort of thing, but I'll work that out in due course. I've got some areas here to make new boxes for, where the platforms are of a certain length, but where they come down, they needs to have a little infill. I've got the second platform through here to make, so that's got to be done. And I've also got the goods platform over here to make, and that is going to be created somewhat wider. I think the idea that I've got is that if I've got a goods platform coming down the outside, I feel that it would be nice to have a little area that we've got a fifth. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines coming in, sorry. And I don't want this one to be a goods one. I want it to be another passenger one. So what I feel is if I have a wider platform here, then I can have maybe a little security fence running down the center of the platform, allowing people to stand one side safely and goods to be unloaded on the other side in complete safety and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to make that one marginally wider. These are 70 millimeters wide, and I think the goods will be maybe 100, something like that, maybe a bit more. But I don't want to go too big, because of course I'm just taking up good real estate for other things. So I think 100 will be enough, and that will give me enough to put in maybe a sort of 50-50, so something like a 50 millimeter here, a fence, and then a 50 millimeter for the platform on the other side for the goods materials to be unloaded. But all of it terminating down here to what I, for want of a better term, is a concourse at the end of the bays here. So yeah, that's what I've got to do next. I've got a lot of designing to do, a lot of burning to do, a lot of gluing to do. So I will probably bring some of that to you in the form of a time lapse and just shorten it out so you just see the progress. And then hopefully we can get to see more of this all set up, ready to decide what I'm going to do next. So catch you all soon. Hey everybody, as I was saying just now, what I've got here are the sheets that I've been burning this morning on small parts that I needed to create the remaining structures for the platforms on Sandling. That includes the concourse, the goods yard, which this is a goods yard section, and also the little smaller infill pieces to bring the platforms that I've done so far up, as I've shown you. So I'm not going to put you or subject you to all of gluing these together. I'm just going to get on and do these. I may just show a little bit of film here and there. This is part of the concourse. That's the main concourse section, and the small part that I needed to add on. Bearing in mind that this has only got a finite cut area on my laser, so I needed this just to create the extra section that I required. Now what I just realized is that I've built all of these and I haven't put any holes in. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. Look at that. I'm not going to reburn them. These areas here, before I glue them together, I'm just going to put a little hole in down there and on the end section. So that's not a big deal, just a bit of annoyance that it could have been burned in and done at the same time, but it's not worth wasting all that material for the sake of just using a drill bit and just going over it. And the same for all of these, actually, they're all the same. They all each have the same problem. I'm just going to go down and burn. Here are the infill sections for the nearest one and the outer one. So they will be put together and complete the structure of the platform, bringing it all up to what will be this part here on the concourse. So I'm going to get on with this, and before I do all of that, I'm going to take all these pieces away and drill some holes. What an annoying thing, but there you go, it's the way it is. Catch you all soon. Okay, so earlier in the video I was showing you exactly how far I'd got with the design of the new iteration version 4 plus of these sections, and as far as I've got now, as if by magic. So there you go, just like magic, and all I've got to design is the ramp off the wider platform at the end there for the goods yard. But as I move down, you can see the arrangement, you can see what I've been doing and how it's all nicely come together. I've got to cut some cork out so that this goods yard sits nice, or the goods yard platform sits nicely on the base. That's not too much of an issue. But the 270mm areas here have got brick and brick corbel, and the goods yard has been designed to have concrete sidings, so they will be finished off in due course. I've still got the sort of upright sections to be made, and that won't take too much effort either. I'll probably do that at the same time as I do the end ramp. But then you can see here how the idea is that this runs onto the concourse. This is just makeshift, this top. I can't make it any longer, so it's going to have a little join in right up that end, but hopefully with a bit of magic of filler and other things you won't actually notice that. But the idea is that I want to put some change the way this would look. I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't have platform edging running across here, so I've got to measure this carefully, recut this piece, and just measure carefully that I just have this continue on around here and back up there, and the same on that area there. But it does need actual precise measurements, so I will wait until all of this is set up, and then I will just measure very, very carefully and recut this with a new design of the blocks and bricks and slabs and edging, so that it all looks right, so you can walk off of here and it would look as it should do. But I'm really, really chuffed with the way this has come together. I am so pleased with it, and all I got to do now is decide how I'm going to weather this and what I'm going to do. One of the ideas is I need to seal it. I need to seal the bottom. I need to make sure these are quite secure from any water ingression, especially when it comes to anything I do with the ballasting later on, and it's going to involve a lot of water and mixture, and I don't want this swelling up and causing a problem. So the thing about that is that you need to seal it. Now, I could just PVA the whole of the base and the sides. That will protect it, and I think that may be a good way to go. That's one way. Another way would be to use a thing called shellac, which you would commonly find in fine furniture polish by, I forget the name of the company now, but there is a one at Ruskin's is the one I'm thinking of. Ruskin's do a furniture polish shellac. Knotting also has shellac in it, and that's by Ruskin's. But all of those shellacs are quite literally, they absorb into the surface and they form a water barrier, and so it won't ingress. And it's just as easy to put that on and a lot quicker than PVA. PVA is fine. If you use the blue one, it will waterproof, because obviously you don't want to use the interior one. It will reabsorb with water. So you need the water external PVA, but the Ruskin's, I think, creates a very quick, very instantly dried barrier against water. And I'm thinking that's what I might go with. What I'm going to do is I have a couple of these that are earlier iterations that don't have any future use or further use with me on here. So I may just do both of them half and half, as it were, and I may even throw that into this video at this time, where I'm going to test the Ruskin's and I'm going to test the PVA, let them both dry out thoroughly, and quite literally put them in some water and just see what happens to it. And hopefully nothing will happen to either of them, and it gives you then a much better choice. But that's what I'm thinking. One thing I will just bring your attention to, and I'm going to say it because it's not a fault, but if I have this in a straight line, which is of course where it needs to be, in a straight line, there is a little kick in the rail. Now what I mean by that is, if I can get this set up right, you've got a nice close here, but when it gets to here, you can see it just bows away from the area there. So there's a little curvature in that rail as it comes in. I suspect there'll be a very similar thing on that side when I start looking at it, but I don't know whether it's enough to worry about. Would it disturb you if it was your track? Do you have to be so absolutely spot on with this that, you know, it would disturb you? So you've got to pick up that track there and lay it in straighter. If you do that, there's a big chance that you're going to create a kick in the track. So you're going to have this little jerk as it straightens out again. Or when you come down here, you can quite easily see that it is very tight to the edge of the platform, and that is very pleasing. That does not give a problem at all. It's only when the train departs or enters that you just see that little swing out away from the platform. So you can see that quite clearly there, especially if I just and changing that track and causing myself an issue when it is only at that point, because down here everything is as it should be, nice and tight to the platform. So I'll let you decide in the comments if you would, and let me know what you think about that idea. And yeah, but this probably pretty much concludes the building of my platforms. I'm really pleased with them. I will make some further tweaks so that if anybody asks to buy any of these kits in the future, that I have a product that is good for them, good to go. And possibly even have a service where I can bespokely make odd little shapes, little sizes, which may be needed in their platform. As I did in mine, I needed 2 different sizes here just to complete the platform. So I might even be able to do a service like that. But it's early days from that yet. I've still got to make sure it is watertight as a product before I can even launch that to somebody else and have a degree of confidence that it will go together. But I have made a number of these now, as you can see, and I've got very fast at it. It only takes me about 15 minutes to put a section together. I'm not talking about the ramps, but one of these sections here, it only takes about 15 minutes to put one together start to finish, including the magnets, so it doesn't take long. Okay, so what I've got here is the Evo Stick wood glue, the exterior version, the blue one, easily identifiable, and I'm going to coat half of the platform in that. And then I've got this, which is the French polish, or you can use button polish, knotting, all these sorts of things, furniture polish. These are made by Rustins and easily accessible. This is shellac, and that is ideal, and it's a quicker dryer than this one will ever be. I'm just going to apply it on half each of this platform here. So I'm going to do all of this here and here, and I may even do the top just to see if there's any issues when it comes to putting on acrylic, so that what I don't want to happen is excuse me, that the top, once it's done, I don't want any paint jobs that I do on this to warp. So I may just seal the top as well. It might. Okay, just very quickly, the final analysis on this. Now, this was the untreated one, and yeah, you can see the glue has given up here, and that's caused that to splay out. Other than that, it's not too bad at all. I expected a lot worse, but there is a little bit of movement in there now. It's not as good as it was, so definitely the item does need to have some form of protection. However, this was protected. Now this is where I sat it on here to dry overnight, and the glue here has not had air to it, or this area here, so it is a little bit damp in that point. But where the glue was all white over all of this, it has settled back and it has dried up again. I dare say every time PVA gets wet, I guess it sort of just shows that little fogging. I don't know, but I've not noticed it before. However, significantly, and I'm guessing because water did get in here because the whole thing sank, so the underside or inside of this, which is not protected, did suffer. And of course there is quite a bit of bowing. The whole of this thing has pretty much bananaed. It's not significantly showing, but if I put that there, there is over ½ an inch of lift on this end, and similarly on this end. Only the center where it's still wet, I think that it was good. So which do I use? Well, I still favor the shellac over the PVA. I think if this gets wet on the layout when you're doing some other things, I can see this causing a bit of a problem. It is quite sticky and therefore not the best solution, whereas this just is what it is. It's gone into the surface of the wood and it's given the whole thing a protection. So from that point of view, I think the shellac is good, and on top of that it gives a darker texture stain to everything as well, so I'm not unhappy. This one, well, this had the both, as you can see. This is where the bit of shellac went over the PVA when it was applied, but this has dried back to matte again, and this is just the staining of the shellac. No problems with any of it, and as far as I can tell, there is no warping. The inside of this didn't get wet, so I think the I think whether you put this in PVA, waterproof PVA, or whether you put it in shellac to protect it, I think it's a personal choice. I don't think, you know, judging by this one, I don't think there is anything that would suggest one or the other is good or bad. However, I sort of quite like this because it does deepen the colours. That's one. And secondly, not that that is an overall proviso, it certainly just deepens the colour of everything, but at the same time it's almost instantly dry. It doesn't take much, and you could put another coat of this on very quickly if you felt it needed more, especially on the bottom area and maybe up a little bit around here. So easy to apply, easy to add a second coat very quickly. You can sort of trance through loads and loads of these in a very short measure, whereas the PVA you can only do one coat. You've got to let it sit there for a couple of 3 hours, let it dry longer if you want it thoroughly dry, and there is always that risk that when it does get wet it can turn this opaque color and become a bit sticky if the air can't get to it underneath and sort of dry back out again. So yeah, that's my take on it. Hope that was useful. Catch you all soon. Okay, so before I sign off on this video, and I know it's probably already too long, so I'll apologize in advance if that's the case, but I really wanted to bring you up to date with where I'm at with everything, what's been going on, and I've shown you the making of the fourth version of these kit platforms. I'm quite pleased with them, I really am, I've got to say. And I made the goods one over here much wider. Now that may be a mistake, I'm not too sure, and I'll explain why in just a moment. The only two rows that I've got working are the first two here, but they are separated by a 70mm platform here, one in the middle, and the goods yard, which is 100mm over the back there. They all finish obviously up on the concourse there, and the first three I've set up, well, I was going to have all four set up as a passenger setup maybe, but I think three may be enough, and that gives me two rows to have for my goods and the goods platform in the middle. Now the reason that I'm saying that it may be a mistake to have it at a full 100mm, it is quite wide and it is taking up a lot of room on access for other roads and other things happening down this end of the situation. So through here it is taking up quite a bit of room, and believe it or not, putting a 30mm less, i.e. another 70 in there, would give me just a little bit more clearance over the back of it. So I'm wondering whether or not I have slightly shot myself in the foot by putting a 1-inch, I'm going to say 100mm 4-inch platform in instead of 70mm. So I have a couple of 70mm platform sections. I'm going to put them over there and just see what extra room I've got before I start cutting and burning new modules to go instead of the one that I've got already there. But it's not a problem, it's all a learning curve, but I wanted to just show you and maybe see what you think about all of that, whether or not the goods platform is just a wee bit too wide. And it looks okay, it is different to the other platforms, and putting three in the same size may look a little too regular, I don't know, but having that one as a goods one on each side as an approach, you can get vehicles down there maybe, I don't know, it's just whatever you think. Let me know in the comments what you think about that idea. But I could do with that extra room as I come this way, because the passing roads on there are quite tight. Now I do know, just a quick thing from a few videos ago, I had a lot of people talking about that little run off here to the turntable. Now I have access to put a second point in right up close to there. I can just about make it happen, and that gives a slightly slower curve round to the turntable. So even then, I'm sure some people will say that's still too tight, but I think it's going to have to do. And rule one, I'm afraid I'm going to have to go with that if I want to have that second exit and on and off ramp to the turntable, which I would like to have. So it will be easier to have vehicles come onto the turntable up here to come in here and pick up traffic. Take care everybody, enjoy your layouts, have fun, and I'll catch you all in the next video. I don't quite know what I'm going to be doing, I am quite busy at the moment, but I'm possibly going to be looking at sealing these, whichever way I decide to go, sealing all the platforms, and starting to do the paint job on them. So I'll video that. I can't do anything about the goods yard yet and finishing that because I'm still, as I said earlier, awaiting some neodymium magnets. If they don't come soon, I will probably go to Amazon, pay a bit more and get some quicker. But either way, we'll get there. Anyway, catch you all in the next one, people. Stay safe, have fun, and thanks again. Bye-bye.